Hunt Showdown 1896 is here, bringing with it tons of changes and new content, including Bullet Drop, the new wild target Hellborn, and the new mountainous map Mammon's Gulch. This video contains the essential tips for new players and veterans to help you get acquainted with most of the new stuff in one convenient video. Be sure to check out the patch notes because I don't cover every little detail, but there is so much to learn with this update. Let's start with the new wild target called Hellborn, which only appears on maps with a single bounty target. You can find the Hellborn by activating Darksight and listening for these spooky groans. The audio for the Hellborn is directional, so just follow the sound and it will lead you right to it. The Hellborn will begin attacking you if you get close enough to it, but you can also damage it from a distance. The Hellborn will rush you to do an area of effect attack or shoot a series of fireballs at you, usually in counts of 4. Both of these attacks can quickly burn away your health bars, so I highly advise using cover, but you can also bring some cover of your own. Concertina can block the fireballs entirely, and choke clouds will extinguish them, but you will still take damage from the impact. You can also quickly extinguish a fire by entering a choke cloud, so it might be worth throwing a few choke bombs before the fight begins. Just like the other bounties, the Hellborn, Whisper, and Darksight will glow red when enemy players are in range, so I recommend checking that periodically, but given the open air fights with the Hellborn, you might not be as safe as the Whisper suggests. Once you kill the Hellborn, it will activate a restoration effect, completely healing you and your team and restoring any burned off health bars, so definitely try to be the team with the killing blow. The Hellborn will immediately drop a bounty token, no banish necessary, as well as a burn trait like Necro, which are consumed when they are used. Other players will see this burn mark on the map, telling them where the Hellborn was killed, and we will come back to that later in the video. But let's talk about those burn traits and other trait changes in this update. There's a new type of trait called a scarce trait, which can only be found in missions around the map and are rarely dropped by Meatheads, Scrapbeak, or Hellborn. Scarce traits like Shadow and Shadow Leap are noticeable because they are blue. Also notice that a scarce trait can also be a burn trait. Shadow Leap is now a permanent addition to the game as a scarce trait, so you can leap around. Witness is also permanent as a normal trait and costs 5 trait points. And burn traits are still traits that get consumed on use like Rampage, but importantly, Necromancer is now a burn trait too, so you can only revive your teammate once using Necro, but as a solo you can only stand up once, so you don't have to constantly camp the body of a solo after you put them down again. With Necro as a solo, you stand up with full health, as in all your bars are restored, and you can revive in 5 seconds, so it's a little bit stronger as a trait, but it doesn't become a camp fest. Also, burning bodies is now more than twice as fast to have more definitive fights, and choke clouds from all sources now only last about 60 seconds. Ballistics were also added to the bullets in the game, meaning they will drop over distance. The shooting range is a great place to learn this new behavior, but generally, larger bullets have a more intense curve. That means compact ammo has a weak drop, medium ammo has a mild drop, long ammo has a strong drop, nitro a very strong drop, and bolts, arrows, and throwables remain unchanged because they had ballistics already. Another thing to note, bullet drop is also affected by muzzle velocity and barrel length, which also means it's affected by your custom ammo types like FMJ and Dum Dum, which lower the muzzle velocity of the bullet. It's not all guesswork though. When you aim down sight, you can see this number in the bottom right corner. This number is the distance in meters at which the bullet will drop 1 head height below the aim point. What that means for gameplay is that this number is the range at which a shot aimed near the top of the head will drop enough to impact the torso. Before this range, a headshot will generally land true. After this range, you'll need to shoot above your target if you want to land a headshot, but also keep in mind you have to account for your own elevation compared to your target. There are some really great ways to learn bullet drop aside from the shooting range. The spyglass, a tool which is available to you, will show you the distance when you ping while you're looking through it, and you can determine if a target is beyond the drop range. Additionally, incendiary ammo can act as a tracer round, helping you determine where your bullet went, and this looks really cool on night maps. I highly recommend it. On the topic of bullet drop and custom ammo, headshots are always a one-hit kill now at any range. Even if a headshot is a bit more difficult to land at range, a single bullet can almost always be lethal. This has led to some other big changes, like the haymaker and the uppercut now deal 122 and 123 damage respectively to make them a little less powerful. And for returning players, you'll want to know that silencer sights also got adjusted to be more usable. So now that headshots are always lethal with a single bullet and silencer sights have been improved, I definitely recommend revisiting all these silenced weapons with one caveat. You may be tempted to bring high velocity ammo in your silenced weapon for a little less bullet drop, but keep in mind that reintroduces the muzzle flash for silenced weapons, so you could be revealing your location, greatly reducing the stealth of your silenced weapon. High velocity ammo also does a little less damage now compared to your base ammo type. Alright, now that you understand all that, let's quickly discuss the new weapons. The Winfield family got separated into new trees. We'll talk about that later. The truly new weapon is the 1865 carbine. It's a medium ammo 3-slot rifle. It does 145 damage to a torso out to 30 meters. Yes, 30 meters is the new range where damage drop-off starts for medium ammo, which is great. The 1865 carbine has one ammo type, FMJ, and benefits from Iron Eye to shoot a little faster. It also has this funny little reload, and I'll probably have a more in-depth video about it later, maybe, or that'll be like a year from now. We also got new variants, the crossbow Deadeye with a new steel bolt ammo type that travels faster and flatter, back to those ballistics, but it does less damage. And then we also got the rival Trauma, same shotgun, but you can deal heavy blunt damage with it, and it looks pretty sick. On to the next section, traps also receive some upgrades. There is now a bear trap tool that you can bring into the game, but also trap placement got a big update. Traps can be placed in windows and on walls or diagonally, which means there are a lot more options to position your traps to blend in. However, you should also be aware that doors and elevators now activate traps, which means you can't just stack a bunch right in the doorway. You'll need to back them up a bit so they don't get deployed when the door opens. Another thing to note is that the alert trip mines now deal 25 burn damage, which can immediately burn off a bar from an unsuspecting target. If you pair this knowledge with the fact that you can burn bodies with alert mines, they might make more sense for your arsenal than fusees or a flare pistol. Another quick bonus tip, remember how I said the Hellborn gets marked on the map when it dies and it drops a burn trait? Well, you can also hide traps inside its body and potentially kill an unsuspecting hunter trying to get that burn trait or abandoned bounty token. This update also brings the option to use a centered crosshair versus the legacy lowered crosshair that veteran players may be accustomed to. Speaking for myself, I'm definitely making the switch to centered, as I expect most players will, but I do want to point out that there are some real pros and cons based on your pick. Centered crosshairs will show you a bit more of the ground, which might help you detect traps more easily, but a lowered crosshair will help you see better when fighting from a lowered position just because you have more view of the sky, and there will be plenty of situations in the mountains where you will be attacking from a lower position. So weigh those options for yourself, find what's most comfortable. Okay, wrapping things up, Mammon's Gulch has 2 new sound traps out in the wild, bats, which can be found in the mine entrances. You can quietly get past them by crouching under them. I usually just run through them and just suffer the consequences. And then we have cows, which are scattered around the map, but you can definitely find them up at the Stockyard Cow Farm.
There is a cow outside.
There's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
One little note, like with our equine friends, you can quietly kill a cow by picking up a lantern, turning it off with the alternate fire button, that's X on PC, and tossing it at its head. This takes some practice to do in one hit, so I recommend aiming for the eyeball. Am I the only one throwing my spear into the ether? Probably so. And then speaking of a bullseye, the final bit of housekeeping, if you are a returning player, you might see some of these new names and be confused. The condensed version is that some weapons got separated, some got concatenated, and some got undesecrated. Some of the Winfields have been separated into new families. The Winfield C became the Frontier 73. The Winfield M1873 with the larger magazine became the Ranger 73, and the Winfield Bayonet became a new family, the Infantry 73L, which has the longer barrel and largest magazine. The uppercut and the conversion pistol got a divorce. The upper mat became the haymaker. Compact, hand cannon, and shorty are all just shorty now, and any stockless weapon with a deadeye scope is now a bullseye, and you can see your progression to unlocking any of these variants by clicking into the weapon family you want to focus on and looking at the progression tree. As well, here you can see the charms and weapon skins available to you. Okay, those are the big pieces in my opinion. Hopefully you got some helpful tips from this video. If you did, be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe. And until the next video, I will meet you on the mountain.